Today we're going to talk about performing under pressure. Hi everybody, this is Enzo. Welcome to the Race Driver Coach Show, Season 3, Episode 6 of the Race Driver Coach Show. I think it is anyway. And as you know, we're going to talk about pressure. Now, that is something that I can see most people really struggling with. And we get all types of people tuning into this show, whether you're a pilot, a sports person, we get actors, race drivers, believe it or not, executives. They tune into this show because we talk about things that are related to personal performance. That's my area of expertise mostly, so it's pretty obvious that everything's related. It comes down to the human being able to perform at their best. And what better subject to talk about than performing under pressure? That's something we see a lot nowadays with people struggling. They can do the lap time if you're a race driver in free practice and in testing, but they can't do it in qualifying. You can see somebody who can serve a ball all day long perfectly in tennis, but when it comes to competition time, they choke. Now this is criminal. It's criminal because you're getting all these people that have the potential, they have the skill, they've put in their 10,000 hours, yet they do not shine when it comes to competition time. And I want to help you in some way, if this is something you're struggling with, I want to help you in some way just overcome that hurdle, because it is a mental block, of course. It's the way that you're viewing things that creates the pressure, and then that creates the internal environment where the brain freaks out. The internal environment where it just can't operate. It can't access its subconscious like it wants to and just allow it to perform. You know, anyone can fall for this, by the way. We all have at some time. We all can access that stupid state of the mind where if somebody whispers a certain thing, puts that thought into us, makes us focus on something that distracts us from what we should be doing, we're going to underperform. We're not going to be at our best. It's normal. It's a normal reaction for the brain. Now, what made me, it wasn't a question, by the way, even though I get lots of questions related to this, it wasn't a question that brought this video and inspired me to do this video. It was yesterday. I did a pressure clinic at iZone in Silverstone. I'll talk about iZone a lot because I'm there every week. It's the centre of excellence basically for motorsport. And we did a pressure clinic. And that's when we bring in the 12 drivers, up to 12 drivers, and we put them against each other to create an environment that is so pressureful when they're head to head, well, groups of 3, and within the groups they compete with each other or against each other in the gym and on the 2 big simulators doing all kinds of different activities. Yesterday, my activity and my sim with the drivers going through was based on adaptability as well as pressure. So they didn't know the track. It was some track called Umbria. They didn't know the car very well. It was a modified F3 car. And they just jump in, they do the laps, and they do a quali time at the end. And you can see the pressure mounting. You can see people taking it so seriously, which is perfect. Because I was a bit afraid. I thought, simulator, people are not going to take it serious. But they do. When they're in there, because they're competing against other drivers, some of which they're actually competing against in real life, there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of performance on demand needed and under pressure. So it's fascinating to watch. It's fascinating to teach them in that environment. I love it. But one thing I want to get across to you now is not just the importance of, because you know this, the importance of performing in qualifying and when it matters in the race and at the race start. But I want to just give you some information that's going to help you overcome it if you do suffer from this, because it's going to be your end. If you can't show people when it matters just what you're made of and you crumble, you're not going anywhere. You know that. So this is important now. So I just want to give you a bit of information, a technique, just to give you something so you can help yourself get over this. Now, there's tons of techniques that I teach people, and everyone else knows these within the sport, right? But there's certain ones that I want you to just take on now, is the creation of an emotion. Now, you know from my other videos that I've spoken about the body and the focus. Now, first of all, let's talk about the focus, actually. When you're getting into the car in free practice, or you're just doing a first test in the car, where you don't really have any expectations, you're just getting in and you're just driving. You're just taking all the information in and reacting. You drive pretty damn well. Because there is no pressure. It's just like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to learn this car or learn this track and just see where I'm at. There's no consequence really. And you allow yourself to perform. Now, the opposite to that is when you get into a pressureful situation, as they call it, which is no different from any other situation. It's just got points tied to it now, or there's a stopwatch on you a bit more, and there's competition. If you view it that way, then obviously it's going to be pressureful. But really, then you go into qualifying, and all of a sudden you tense up. That's the body. But if I stay with the focus, it's interesting to see how drivers use their brain and what they focus on, and the thoughts that come in when it's qualifying compared to when it's practice. The overriding principle is exactly the same. I must perform at my best. Period. That is it. That's all you've got to do every single time you're in the car. So really, free practice and qualifying should be no different. I've just got to perform at my best. I've just got to perform at my best. You just say that over and over and over again. But you don't do that, do you? If you ask what a driver's thinking in free practice and just get them to write out their thoughts, stack them up, it's pretty much no judgment, let's go and see where we're at. And they're pretty okay with it. Got to be sharp, got to be learning, got to see what the car's doing, but let's just go out there and see where we're at. Then so it's quite simple, right? Less rules. But then qualifying comes. And you notice a driver will start to say or focus on things like, what if my teammate beats me? What is my management going to say if I do get beaten again? What if I'm not good enough? What if they find out I'm not good enough and I'm a fraud? That's a big one for a lot of people. What if I crash and I cause even more financial constraints on my career? They stack up these things. And you've heard me talk about stacking before as well. When you have lots of these thoughts all stacked up on one side, negative ones that are not really going to help you, they're just going to make you feel stressful, then is it any wonder that you feel stressed? So if these are the negative ones on this side, and these are the positive ones on this side, but you've only got about one of them, but you've got a stack of stressors, where do you think the mind is going to go? How do you think it's going to react when it's being flooded with consequence thoughts? What if? Worst case scenario. You're not going to perform. So I want you to really take this on today and train it in every single day life. What thoughts, when I'm underperforming, when I'm stressed about something, what thoughts am I stacking up? And if you see it like scales, right, it's a bit difficult to explain. So maybe I can get this pen and paper out, which I don't do very often, do I? And get a pen. The best thing to do, get a pen that works. I know that one doesn't work from earlier. So, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm going to draw some very pathetic scales. This is performing under pressure, isn't it? So the scales are there. I can't remember how scales go, but let's just say that's one of the things that hold it. That's the other one. And you know, that's scales. Right? Now, this thing on top, if it's stress that you don't really like to experience, that'll be that weight. And if we weight this side, put weights in here, this arrow will go ping towards stress. But if it's the opposite of that, is you want to be calm when you're in the car, if we stack lots of thoughts that help your internal environment be calm, then it will ping that way. This is just 101 silly, basic emotional control, but actually it's very powerful. And it pretty much is at the core, the epicenter of everything that we do when we're trying to create an emotion, right? So this is focus. So just pretend now, again, you're focusing on, going into qualifying, you're focusing on, what if I don't do a good lap time? And it's weighing this down. So then the needle's starting to go this way, it's starting to stress a little bit. What if my teammate beats me? Another stress-creating thought. It's going even more towards stress. What if I crash the car? I don't think I'm good enough. All these things, before you know it, ping, you're in stress. And the weight of the calm, which is probably you just saying, I've got to breathe. Breathe nice and deeply. But you're still thinking those thoughts, you've got no chance. So I want you, next time you're performing, to just visualize them scales. If you're not feeling right, you're not feeling in the zone, you're feeling a bit apprehensive, or you've got some kind of anxiety about something, just take on the responsibility that you have created that emotion. You've created it by what you are thinking about and the thoughts you're stacking up. Now, if you get someone who is brilliant under pressure, you'll find out that they've got less of these thoughts. They have a simple thing or a simple term like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to nail it. Like I said in my last video, they make it very simple and they just trust it's going to be okay. Because no matter what happens, if the result isn't what they actually want, they will get out of it. They'll race forward. They've got less consequence on them. But they know through history, through being this way and allowing themselves to come forth and perform, that they will get to their skill level. And if not, they'll just learn off their teammate and get better. So it's a whole different situation here. If you focus on the negatives, you're going to feel negative. That's what I'm pretty much trying to say here, and I could have summed that up in 2 seconds. But also remember the body. Remember, if you want calm, if you want determined, whatever emotion you want to create, then you have to have congruent thoughts coming in like a mantra, and what you focus on has got to help that emotion come to you. So if you do want to be determined, you're going to say things like, I am going to absolutely execute on what I've done. I'm going to make it very simple and just focus on 3 or 4 corners, simplify it down the most important corners of the lap, get them right, execute well, and that's it. And if you're going into the car with that kind of attitude, now we're coming into the body with that tonality, with that face of determination, the chest is up again, the shoulders are back, and you're saying that, straight away, I can feel it now. Determination is coming through me, and with this state of mind, I mean, right now as I talk to you, I can do anything. But if I now start to feel, say, doing a video, I'll start to look at this lens, because I'm looking right down the lens here. It's quite difficult to do, actually, to start with, but you get used to it. Right down the lens, and I start to get a bit curious. Not curious, I start to get a bit worried about who's watching. I start to get a bit worried about, are my words coming out correctly? Is the volume okay? Is the lighting okay? How do you, and my body, I can feel it. You probably saw it. My body starts to get down because it goes into more worry. Just created that. Now I'm bloody thinking about it. But then if I don't really care what you think, I'm just recording with me inside a room and no one else here, and I'm letting rip and I'm helping as many people as I want. Again, you can see what's happened. Different emotion. You've just watched somebody then go into 2 different emotions right in front of your very eyes through what I was thinking and slightly changing my body, my physiology, my breathing. Learn from that. If you want to create a certain emotion before you get in that car and when you're in it, you've got to look like that emotion that you want, and you've got to think like that emotion that you want. Again, it sounds stupidly simple, and it is. It's stupidly simple because you've done it for so long. You try and teach a dog or some other animal how to create an emotion. It's difficult for them, but you've done it all your life. If you want to feel sorry for yourself, what do? You start to stack up all the reasons why life is not fair. Why so-and-so has got something and you haven't. Congratulations, you've just become that emotion exactly. You start feeling sorry for yourself. Maybe you'll go into depression. Maybe, woe is me. However, if you look at life in a different way and say, this is my opportunity today, I might have lost yesterday and last week, but today I'm going to turn it all around and you watch this, different emotion again. So I want you to become this emotional master, where through your thoughts and how you hold your body, you create whatever emotion you want. And in doing so, you can perform as you can, whatever level that is at the minute. I just really don't want you to hold yourself back just because you're thinking of things in a certain way. When you're going into a pressureful situation, it's only pressureful if you make it. It's only pressureful if you paint it into this big, dominating force that is over you and you feel small. It should never be like that. Start to practice how you can be powerful, like Superman with a cape, coming off the back, no matter what situation you're in. And even though you're freaking out on the inside a little bit, you're just walking. You are faking it before you're making it, but you're thinking about what's got to be done. Again, related to my last video. I don't want to repeat myself, but it's not about you are nothing. All you do is focus on the objective. Keep that there. Create the emotions you want through the thoughts that you have. And when you do feel a bit off and you're a bit nervous, think, what am I thinking? How did I just create that? And you'll start to see a pattern. On the flip side, when you start to perform as you want, like, how the hell did I do that? Write down exactly what thoughts you had then and how you created that emotion then. This is all about getting your own equation, your own recipe for how you create emotions. When I feel like this, I create it by thinking this and having my body like this. Done. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in, for pressing play. See you next time.